Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Paige. Today I am going to tell you the books that I read in August. In the month of August, I have read 27 books and I DNF'd 2 books. The books that I DNF'd was The Promise of Tomorrow by Candice and Wright. I read the first 2 books in the month of August and I started the third one and I was annoyed by it for some reason. I don't really remember the reason right now, but I DNF'd it because I just was like, no, I've had enough. I don't want to read. The first 2 books were really pretty good, but the third book I was not enjoying, so I DNF'd it. And I also DNF'd Hail Mary by Kole. This is a sports, I think it's football themed reverse harem, because I asked for sports themed reverse harem books. So if you know of any good ones, please let me know. This was not, no, this was a train wreck. So she just meets the guys and then she jumps right in bed with them like the first day. Nah, I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more angst and slow burn than that. That's just too much insta love. So I DNF'd it. So I have 14 5-star reads, 12 4-star reads, and 1 3-star read for the month of August. So let's go ahead and begin. So the first book I read is Hundreds by Pepper Winters. This continues on. I read the first 2 books in the I think it's the Pennies or Dollars series by Pepper Winters. This is about a girl who was abducted and into the into sex trafficking, and she ends up being this guy's sex slave for 2 years and just treated horribly. She's so badly beaten and abused and sexually abused. So if you have triggers, just beware of this series. It's pretty dark. Until a guy happens to come, you know, he builds yachts for very rich people, and he comes to the house to, you know, make a deal with her captor, and he's very intrigued with her and he ends up rescuing her. And this is the 3rd book in the series, which is Hundreds. And then I read Thousands, and then I read Millions. So Hundreds was 4 stars, Thousands was 4 stars, and Millions was 5 stars. I just think that the series ended on a really well note. I love how their relationship progressed over the books, because even though he rescued her, he was kind of like, oh, I'm going to keep her to myself. And this was a discovery. You know, he has OCD and he deals with a lot, and of course she is dealing with a lot, and he comes from a very tragic background, and he is still fighting his demons, and their journey was pretty incredible. There were times when I was like, okay, I just want to be done with the series, because I feel like maybe it dragged out a little long, but the final book ended beautifully, and I'm very glad that I stuck with it and read this whole series. And then I read Her Dirty Ranchers by Mika Lane. I almost DNF'd this book, but I just stuck with it and finished it, and I rated it 3 stars. This is a reverse harem, like cowboy ranchers. I don't even recall it very well, because I just remember not really liking it very much. Obviously it's about a girl who she came back home because she was living in New York, and she came back home to her parents. Found out her parents sold their ranch to their competition, their enemy, which is like the ranch next door. And she has nowhere to go, because when she left New York, she was going to move in with her parents, because she got fired or left her job because her boss is just horrible. And then she realizes that her enemy and her ex and her brother's best friend, they all pitched in and bought this ranch. And so this is her relationship with all three of them. This is a reverse harem. It just wasn't done very well. I would have liked it to be more slow burn because this, you know, she pretty much jumped in bed with them right away. So it is smart to love, but if you like that sort of thing, that'll be perfect for you. And then I read Rewriting Yesterday by Candice and Wright. I've had this on my TBR for so long. This is a reverse harem. This is about a girl who was living in a horrible situation, and she meets this guy one day at the hospital. He has just discovered that he has cancer. He's, you know, not going to make it. And he notices, you know, her, and they are sitting on a bench talking to each other. And he kind of just like swoops in and rescues her. She's 17. He offers to marry her because they have a very platonic relationship. It never goes beyond friends for them. There's a very major age gap between them, but he just wants to get her out of a bad situation with the amount of time that he has left in his life. And so they end up being married. And they become very close as friends. And then when he dies, his son comes to claim his part of the inheritance. Him and his friends, you know, come into town, and this is her relationship with him and his friends. I really liked this book. It was the best book in the series. So I actually really enjoyed it and gave it 5 stars. And then I read the second book in the series, which is In This Moment, and also by Candice and Wright. This is about a girl. She is very wealthy. She's come, you know, she has inheritance from her grandfather and her father. She's engaged. Her future sister-in-law takes her out on her bachelorette party. Something really bad happens where she discovers and that her fiance has betrayed her. She meets these guys who own the club that she had been to, and she ends up living with them for a reason unknown. And she, you know, forms a bond with them. Of course, this is her and their relationship. It's another reverse harem. And yeah, it was good. Not as quite as good as the first one, so I rated it 4 stars, but still an excellent book to the series. Then I read A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor by Kathryn Moon. This is the first book that I've read by Kathryn Moon. There was so much hype about this book because Amazon had taken it off, but they added it back, so really grateful for that. So it was very intriguing. I had it on my TBR for a long time anyway, so I decided to read it, and boy am I glad that I read it. I love this book. Of course I gave it 5 stars. This is about a girl who is serving as, you know, like a maid, a servant at this one place. Something happens to where she has to relocate, and she is sent to this place for, it's kind of like an escort service for monsters, for mythical creatures. And so she is sent to this place to become an escort for monsters. And she loves it because, you know, it's what she craves, what she wants. And this is her meeting these different monsters and like them becoming her mates. And this is a monster reverse harem book, and oh my goodness, it was everything that I never knew I needed. So glad I read this one. I cannot wait until she writes the second book in the series. So then I picked up Baby and the Late Night Howlers by Kathryn Moon. This is the first book in the Sweet Omegaverse series, and now here is where I'm introduced to the Omegaverse world. I have never read a book that is in the Omegaverse, and so I am just now captivated with this whole, you know, world. And if you have any good recommendations, I would love more recommendations because I am just needing it so bad. So Baby and the Late Night Howlers is about a girl who she discovers that she's an Omega, and she has thought she had been a Beta all of her life until like the Omega instincts kicked in, and she's about to go into heat, and so she's having to quickly find her pack. and she picks a pack. It's a motorcycle club, and they are the late night Howlers, and this is her romance, her, you know, mated with a few of the guys from the some are alphas, some are betas. And one thing that I really liked about this book is the alpha, and he's actually he's one of the alphas of the pack, but he's the president of the motorcycle club, and he is already in a relationship with a beta. And so he kind of like lets her know at the beginning, like, hey, this isn't going to work if you're not going to accept him as well. And so, but she was really cool with it. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book so much, I had to go to the next book in the series, which is Lola and the Millionaires Part 1. This is about Lola. She's a beta, and she has not been treated well before. She is actually the best friend of Baby from the first book, and she had went to a rival motorcycle club, and they did not treat her very well. They, you know, she suffered from abuse, and now she just has all sorts of triggers, and she is deathly afraid of any kind of alphas. She gets this new job at a fashion magazine, and it is something that she completely adores, but she's having to, you know, overcome her fears of working with alphas, being around them again. And she befriends another Omega. He's a model. She starts to have a relationship with a beta, and he introduces her to his pack, while they're also trying to keep her safe from the other motorcycle club members that are still out to get her. Oh my goodness, this was such an amazing series. There are 2 parts to this, Lola and the Millionaires Part 1 and Part 2, and I read both of them and rated them both 5 stars. This series is amazing. Then I read the next book in the series, which is Lyric and the Heartbeats, but this book was written by another author, Lana Kole, and I enjoyed this one, but I could tell that it was not Kathryn Moon, but I still greatly enjoyed it. This revolves around a girl who is a famous singer. She is actually an Omega, but she takes suppressants to try to suppress that because she doesn't want to be in a pack, because that's her mother basically raised her only to be an Omega, to serve everyone else's needs. And she's like, I am way more than that. And so she proved herself and became this famous singer. Now she's going on to her very first tour, so she needs to put together a band. So she holds auditions, and she picks, you know, the best ones from the auditions to form a band, and they all go on tour. And this is their journey, you know, of feeling more for each other. Their relationship continues to grow, and all of them forming a pack. And then I read The Quarry Master by Amanda Milo. I had seen Bree from In 11 Words recommend this one, and I didn't realize that it was from the same series that I had read a book before, The Blindfall. And so I was excited to kind of get back into the series. This is a alien romance series, and oh my goodness, I absolutely love The Quarry Master. I rated it 5 stars. He is just a very grumpy alien. He is all of a sudden has all these human girls who are working at his quarry because they are trying to build themselves a home. And because all these human girls are now on this alien planet. Some of them have mates, some of them do not, but they are working hard to try to build themselves places to live. So now he is in charge of all these human girls, and they just annoy the heck out of him. He just hates it so much. And then there is one girl in particular. She only has one arm, and he just feels really drawn to her, and she does not take any crap from him. She, you know, it is so funny, their dynamic. But you know, he starts feeling things for her, and of course there is, even though he tries not to, there's parts of this book, it's just so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. Excellent book to the series. So I have read 2 books from that series. which is Stolen by an Alien series. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go back to the very first book and start reading them in order. So I picked up the first book in the series, which is Stolen by an Alien by Milo. So this girl, this human girl, is being sold at an auction, and this alien guy steals her because he thinks that she is a Griffala princess, and these types of aliens are very, you know, humans resemble them. And so he thinks that she is an abducted Griffala princess, and he steals her away to try to rescue her, and this is their romance. This book is not as good as The Quarry Master or The Blind Fall, which are the two books I had read previously in the series, but still an excellent, you know, alien romance book. I highly recommend this series a lot, and I rated this one 4 stars. And I continued on in the series, and the next one is Rescued by an Alien by Milo. This one is a girl who, she's on this, you know, of course she's another human girl that is stolen from Earth, and she's on this alien ship, and another type of alien that you see from, he's actually the brother of the Quarry Master. He rescues her, but she has a lot of triggers because the aliens that had her before abused her, and so she is dealing with a lot, and he helps her overcome that. He has a lot of patience with her and just helps her through her struggles. And of course, you know, they become bonded, mated, and this is their romance. Very, very good. Another great book to the series, and I rated it 4 stars. And then I read the next one in the series, which is Won by an Alien by Milo. This is about a girl who, she is suddenly bought from the auction, and the guy who buys her, he's kind of like, he's another alien that is, he has like the bottom half of him are like kangaroo type style because he hops around, but then the top part of him is man. And he buys him, I mean, he buys her and takes her back to him and his friend's ship. They are kind of loners, and his friend owns his own alien ship, and they just, you know, he spent pretty much their like life savings to buy her because he was just very intrigued with her. And this is her romance with both of the aliens. So this is a alien menage romance, and it was so delightful, and I rated it 4 stars. And then I continued on in the series and read Craved by an Alien by Milo. This is one of the girls and guys that you see, or one of the girls and one of the aliens that you have read about in the previous books, and he is an alien that has wings. He is one of the Hobbs, and she is the human girl who kind of like, she takes crap from no one. She is very mouthy. She's just, you know, she's fiery, and she has a temper, and she kind of becomes the girl's leader. So this is her romance with her alien, and I rated it 4 stars. Then I read A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sara Barnard. I have this book on my TBR for so long, and I saw Brie talk about it the other day, and I'm like, you know what, I need to read it. So I went ahead and read it, and it was wonderful. This is a YA book, and the hero and the heroine both have a communication issue. He is deaf, and she has trouble speaking. She has suffered from this, where she's a very anxious person. And when she was little, growing up, she just could not really speak to people, except to those closest to her, her best friend, her parents. In this book, you see her become even more than she thought that she could be. She rose up to situations that she was in, and really she proved to herself that she could do more than she thought she could. This was an excellent representation of anxiety. Very, very spot on. I loved their growing romance and them both figuring out things. Like, they both deal with these issues and how they overcome them, and how they just have a very special bond. And I freaking adored this romance. I wish that there was like a follow-up story of when they're older. That would be a delight to read. But very excellent book, and I rated it 5 stars. The next one that I read is Forever by Sloane Kennedy. This is about 2 guys who are already in a relationship, and one of them is a nurse, and he brings home a guy who needs a place to stay because his brother, or they're not really brothers, they're kind of stepbrothers. They were kind of in a stepbrother situation before, and he's in the hospital, so he brings the other brother home because he needs a place to stay. And then of course when the other guy gets out of the hospital, they bring him back to their house as well. So they have these guys staying with them, and this ends up being a relationship between all 4 of them. It was really good. The 2 guys who were already in a relationship, they were having relationship troubles, and the 2 guys that moved in with them really helped bring them out, or help them communicate better with each other, and it just strengthened their relationship. And the other 2 guys, there was already there was feelings between them, and they didn't really act upon it until they felt comfortable in their new environment to do so. And then of course there was a budding romance between all 4 of them, and it was actually a really good book, and I rated it 4 stars. Then I read My Vows Are Sealed by Carmen Richter. This is another young adult, kind of turned new adult towards the end. This is about a girl who was raised in a very strict religious household, and her father is the pastor, and he abuses her. He hits her if she doesn't comply, even he abuses her when nothing makes sense. She's done nothing wrong, and she is living like this. And there is a boy at her church. They are they've been friends all of their lives, and then she starts going to public school where he goes to school, and things are kind of brought to light, and he really discovers how her home life environment is not great at all, and he is just trying to help her as best as they can because they're teenagers. And this is their romance, and how he kind of helps rescue her and get her out of this horrible situation. And this is the first book in the series, and it was so good. I felt for her so much. I kind of have, since she was part of a deep religious background, I could understand where she came from a lot of the times, and just some of the awful prejudices that that they held, and her discovering that there is so much more, that you can still have your faith, but there is so much more than what she had been told and taught all her life. And I just loved this one so much. I rated it 5 stars. The next one I read is Lost and Found by Sloane Kennedy and Lucy Lennox. I found this book to be sort of similar to Him by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. Of course, I never remember names, but the first hero came from a wealthy family, and the other hero was their gardener's son. So he was looked down upon, and they had a friendship that was, growing up. And then when they were getting older in their teen years, they started having feelings for each other until something happened, and the one hero thought the other hero had betrayed him, and so he has just had this hatefulness towards him. And then all of a sudden they meet back up years later, when the one hero is a wilderness guide, and the other hero helps works with a foundation from his father's company that helps children in bad situations, and they have taken these kids out onto this, you know, wilderness journey. And so they are hiking through the mountains and, you know, bringing along these kids and dealing with all these, you know, it's kind of a, they were first friends, then it turned hate, and then back to friends to lovers situation. And this one was really good. I enjoyed seeing their journey and what happened, and them kind of trying to get over that and going back to a place to where, you know, they really do like each other, they love each other, and this was their journey for their relationship. And I rated this one 5 stars. And then I read The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartmann. I am loving Jennifer Hartmann's books lately. And this book really intrigued me because the heroine of the story loses her husband in a tragic accident. And she contacts the person, the man, who got her husband's heart because he was an organ donor. She emails this guy who got her husband's heart, and they start up a kind of like a pen pal relationship, while she's also going to a suicide therapy group because there is attempted suicide in this book. And she is going to these meetings, and there she meets this guy, and they start to have it's not even a friendship really, because he is just such a downer. He doesn't have a bright outlook on life. He is just so down in the dumps, depressed and lonely. But she's referred to as the sunshine. That's what her husband would always call her. And when he first met her, he said, you know, she was sunshine. But then he realized, no, she's the moon of his life because she lights up his dark world. And that is exactly what it was. You know, she became everything to him. And, you know, secrets were found out, things were revealed. And this was such a wonderful journey. I love this one so much. I rated it 5 stars. But I could not read the epilogue of this book. The story, you know, the final chapter left off on a HEA, but I started to read the epilogue and I knew where it was going, and I couldn't read it because it already it made me cry just knowing where it was going. So I did read the book, but I just could not read the epilogue. And then I read Experience by Jenika Snow. This has been on my Kindle for such a long time. This was recommended. It's an age gap romance, and it was very short, like 80-90 pages. And this is about a girl who has just been in love. Well, he's been in love with her for a long time too. But this is her like dad's best friend, and she hasn't seen him since she graduated high school. And now she's graduating college, and he is coming to see them, and they like profess their love for each other. And this is just a really short story, but I mean, it for such a short story, it really packed a lot into it, and I enjoyed it, and I rated it 4 stars. Then I read Manix by Grace McGinty. This is another book in the Omegaverse world. This is about a girl who unknowingly is an Omega. This pack smells her and hunts her down because she is the last female Omega of this Manix race. And she is like their only hope for continuing on, you know, their race. And she is really jaded because she has escaped this horrible situation. She has, her stepfather is after her. He is like a really bad guy. He's trying to sell her off, and she is running from him, and they rescue her and take her home. And this is their journey on, you know, of her getting to know all the guys of this pack and joining their pack, and their romance was great. And I also like the fact she was already a single mom, even though it was her baby sister that she rescued, but she's raising her baby sister as her own. And of course I rated this one 5 stars. And then I read Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. I'd also had this on my Kindle Unlimited books on my Kindle, and I decided to read it, and boy am I glad that I did. Such a good book. This is about a married couple, and he had cheated on her because she just kind of blocked him out because they had been dealing with infertility issues. They had had 2 miscarriages. She was just so down and depressed and kind of not really knowing how to deal with it, and she could just kind of blocked him out. And so he found comfort in another woman, which he immediately regretted. But then he was in a car accident, which when he woke up, he had some sort of amnesia where he couldn't remember the past few years and what had happened. And so the last thing he remembered was them being in a happy, loving relationship. And so she's holding all these memories of him cheating on her. He cannot fathom why he would ever cheat on her. He's so in love with her. He moves back in with her because, their doctor, ends up being one of their friends, thinks that would be best for him. And so this is their journey from, they're already married, but they have a troublesome marriage, and this is their journey to discovering if they can have a happy marriage again, if they can be in love with each other. And it was so good. Rated at 5 stars. The next book I read is actually not a romance book at all. It's not even fiction. It's a nonfiction book. And this is called How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. I think I stumbled upon it on Facebook. I don't even remember how I stumbled upon it really. But this is just was kind of a short book about how to keep house when you're struggling yourself. And the book really deals with how you cannot base your worth on what you can do with your house or any type of area of your life. If your dishes aren't done, if your laundry is not done, it doesn't make you a bad person. And it just deals with ways to kind of like overcome that and tips and tricks. And I really enjoyed reading this. I found it very useful, and I rated it 5 stars. Then I picked up, this was the last day of August, so I'm like, you know what, I need to read a short book to end August with. So I picked up King of Libertines by Pam Godwin. This is the first book to her, I don't even know what the series is, but it's comes before Sea of Ruin. And so I picked it up, and it was actually only about 35 pages. And I don't know if it's the characters from Sea of Ruin, but I really enjoyed it. It said they're characters you see in Sea of Ruin. I don't know if it's the main characters or what, but I did really enjoy the first book. I thought you had to read it before Sea of Ruin, but I think she mainly just wrote it to see if you would like it. But I did end up reading it and thoroughly enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars, and I am really looking forward to reading Sea of Ruin now. And then since that one was so short, I ended up picking up a book off of my Kindle list. I have bought a lot of free books on Amazon, so I just kind of went back through and picked one. This is an alien romance called Chameleon by CARA BRISTOL. It was a very cute read. I rated it 4 stars. This is about a girl who she has come from an abusive relationship. He died, so now she is a widow. She bought this farm to kind of start over with her life. And one day she sees like this meteor in the sky. Well, it's actually an alien and his travel mates, because I really wouldn't even say they're friends, because they think he's the enemy from something that's happened on their alien planet. Their ship breaks down, so they land on Earth. So they're stuck on Earth while they're trying to have their alien ship fixed, repaired. So he gets to know this woman, and he realizes that she is his mate. And this was their story, and it was so cute. I really enjoyed the first book to that series. So those are all the books that I read in August. Let me know if you read any of them or if you have any recommendations for me. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.